Okay guys, in this video today, we're going to be taking another cheeky look at Cardano. There's some exciting stuff being going on. We're going to get into a few things, cover off for what's going on with smart contract functionality, all that kind of good stuff, guys. As we get into this video, if you find it useful, informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. If you're new, make sure you've subscribed, hit the bell, tapped on all, and you won't miss another Cardano update, guys. With all that said, let's get into what's going on with Cardano. So guys, we're going to start off with this piece here, right? This is an interesting article that basically is all about Charles Hoskinson kind of talking to the critics, right? So the next 2 months is going to be very, very fun. And we're going to get into what's going on here. So ultimately, Cardano is currently in its third stage of the development roadmap, 𝗗𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. And ultimately, I think many people know this, right? We're obviously in the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 era right now. And we're looking to usher in the 𝗗𝗘𝗪 era next. Now, recently, the first testnet of the Alonzo smart contract was launched, with many reports expecting the project to go live on the mainnet in just a couple of weeks. Now, obviously, a move that will basically allow for the full integration of smart contracts to the network. The hype surrounding this particular project has been reflected in its price with an incredible run this year so far. We've obviously had a pullback in the 𝗕𝗚𝗠𝗠𝗘𝗥𝗦 correction. We'll get into that in a moment. And, you know, many critics out there are, of course, suspect that Cardano may not be able to live up to all the hype, right? And this is something that we see quite a bit over Twitter. It's usually where the haters like to hang out these days. But basically, there are several users. We're going to call out a couple of them here, right? So there's this one here, which obviously references that bet, right, that's been going on. Will Cardano support smart contracts by the mainnet, on the mainnet by October 1st, 2021, right? So obviously you have 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗏 channel here. I found free money on Polymarket, right? You know, a bit of sarcasm. But basically, there is no chance ADA will have a functioning smart contract on the mainnet in 2021. Charles Hoskinson especially mentioned this bet and made fun of it, and rightfully so. Surely he will ignore it when this bet resolves and no bettors get their rewards. So what's really interesting about this, obviously, is the need that someone to actually have to go and tweet this out to get a little bit of attention. That's a little bit worrying and a little bit frustrating. But obviously, Charles Hoskinson does obviously acknowledge it and has to say his piece as well. So in response, Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano, tweeted, "The next 2 months will be fun." So here's the quote, right? "It's amazing how delusional some people are. This is honestly the level Cardano critics are at now. The next 2 months are going to be fun. Expect a lot of meltdowns and temper tantrums from the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘." Now, what's really cool about this is obviously knowing everything that we've kind of know about the Alonzo hard fork and everything else. We'll get into that in a moment. It's more probable that we are going to see the smart contract functionality on the mainnet than not so probable, right? So if we start actually, you know, being risk adverse about it, and we actually start to break things down and think about how things are likely to actually unfold in the next couple of months, the probability is that smart contract functionality will roll out on the mainnet. There is less and less chance that it will not. So considering everything that we know so far and the fact that we are progressing through the Alonzo hard fork combinator event reasonably well, it's you know, to be expected that actually things here are not too bad. So I find this quite an interesting one, and yeah, I'll be watching out for those meltdowns. So let's talk a little bit about the Alonzo, right? Because obviously the Alonzo rollout plan is something that maybe some of you know about, some of you don't know about. But we're going to cover what is going on here. So obviously Alonzo is reference to the US mathematician Alonzo Church, who was one of the forefathers of computer science, right? So hats off to that. That's a fantastic little you know, little hint and tip there, I guess. So Alonzo is a hard fork that will, once complete, introduce new features to the Cardano network, such as the development of new dApps and DeFi functionality, right? This is pretty much that smart contract functionality we're talking about. Now, the launch of Alonzo will take place in multiple phases, as you can see on the screen here. Each phase being identified by a color, right? We're in Alonzo white right now, and obviously we'll be going into purple, right? So we've obviously proceeded through blue into Alonzo white. We're looking to roll into purple, and then obviously we go into staging, and then we go onto the mainnet. So there will be a series of sub-stages. It's also worth noting, if all goes well, and that will lead to the development of the Cardano mainnet in September of this year, the addition of the Alonzo upgrade will give Cardano the ability to compete with other decentralized finance ecosystems like Ethereum, Binance, Polkadot, Solana, and many others, right? This is probably going to be the busiest 90 days for Cardano in terms of rolling out the Alonzo hard fork combinator, that event that ultimately sees in all of this functionality onto the mainnet. And to think that this isn't likely to roll out in October when we've already hit the Alonzo white on schedule, going into Alonzo purple. And obviously then we'll be looking at Alonzo red, black staging areas before going into the Alonzo mainnet during September. So far, everything seems to be on track. So the think that this isn't likely to happen is obviously going to be quite a bit of a sticking point for many, right? Those are the critics out there who do not want to see Cardano succeed. They seem to be the ones who are really backing the play here around this bet particularly. So really interesting stuff going on, right? And obviously with Cardano, we talk about the smart contract functionality and we think about everything that's going on there. And obviously the rollout plan for Alonzo ushering in the 𝗗𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 era. It's also important that we do acknowledge, obviously, that scaling solution that we've been speaking about for quite some time now as well. Hydra, the Cardano scalability solution, will see basically 1,000 transactions per validator, right? Which means we have scalability that kind of outweighs many of these other chains out there, right? Well over 1 million transactions per second. So when this particular prototype gets developed later in the year after we have the 𝗗𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 era issued, we are still talking about scalability. How do you run countries on Cardano? Well, that is where Hydra really comes into play. So there's so many things that are going on here for Cardano. It's definitely going to be a very busy year, and there's so many things to be excited about long term as well. But the thought and the idea that Cardano is not going to be issuing those smart contracts by October the 1st is not really something that is probable. It's obviously possible, but it's highly illogical to think that it is not likely to happen on time, considering everything that's actually been adhering to schedule so far in terms of the Alonzo hard fork. So things are looking pretty good, right? And many people in the space, they do often refer to Cardano as the ghost of blockchains. And at the end of 2020, critics slammed the project for lack of assets and dApps operating on the blockchain. Basically, there's these Ethereum maximalists out there that definitely don't like the idea that Cardano is going to come up here. And actually, so many companies that are currently running on Ethereum have already kind of said that they want to move from Ethereum over to the Cardano ecosystem. This is something that Singularity Net have already done, right? They've already kind of come out and said that we're moving from Ethereum to Cardano. It's a more superior technology. That's Dr. Ben Goertzel's words, not my own. And ultimately, Ethereum is going to start to see a significant market share shift from obviously the Ethereum ecosystem into the Cardano ecosystem. And as a result, there are a lot of deep-pocketed ETH holders that are not going to like that. So those ETH maximalists, unfortunately, this is an inevitability. It's not something that you're going to be able to delay or slam with absolute nonsense to kind of make it go away. It's going to happen, and you're going to have to get on board with it. There's no other way around it. So interesting stuff is going on. I think there's so many fantastic things to happen here for Cardano. So I just wanted to kind of cover that off. And also, we'll cover a little bit of technical analysis, guys, as well. Obviously, as we take a look at this on the weekly chart, this is Cardano to the USDT, Binance being the data source. It's always good to see this is actually a really nice, clean example of the Elliott theory, 5 impulse waves to the upside. And again, we're looking for that fifth wave to kind of end $7.20 to $10 range. At the moment, our stochastic relative strength index is indicating at 2.3. And again, we can take on those moving averages, those EMAs as well, and we can see how all that kind of plays for us at the moment as well. So everything here on this weekly chart for Cardano is looking pretty good. The volumes have also been quite interesting as of late, so really good stuff going on there on this weekly chart. I really want to kind of just point out that we're incredibly oversold in the same way that we were at the bottom of phase of this second wave to the downside, and where we started, right? All these points in time, we were very oversold, and that's exactly where we are right now as we go ahead and launch up into our fifth wave to the upside for Cardano. And when we actually jump down into our daily, we can see that we are overbought. We're actually set up here at 98. So again, the complete opposite to our weekly. But again, this is something that is 7 days to a week, right? So we'll be looking to see how this kind of plays out over the next few days, whether we're going to start seeing this kind of correction come back down. And we've kind of hit some key areas. And as we go down into our hourly, we can see that we're heading now to oversold again right down here. So ultimately what we're looking for is now a reversal on our hourly. That's going to keep us sustained at a nice overbought area on our daily. But we have to be mindful over what Bitcoin is doing, as the market is still following Bitcoin. And ultimately Bitcoin is yet to actually pierce through its 42K threshold. That's going to really be the strong signal to take us to the next level on Bitcoin side of things. So we obviously have to be mindful over what Bitcoin is doing on these shorter time frames, but things are looking pretty interesting most recently with the most recent price action of Bitcoin and these altcoins in general. But again, if in doubt, always kind of zoom out, and we like to, as investors, keep an eye on this weekly chart and understand that being oversold on this weekly chart in the bigger macro piece is that we are going to be increasing our position here week on week over the next three or 4 months to get this to the nice high level during this fifth wave. And guys, hopefully you have found this brief update on Cardano useful and informative. Lots going on with smart contract functionality with the Alonzo rollout. Lots of critics and haters out there hating on the Cardano ecosystem, but there are some fantastic things to come. We've got some fantastic price discovery on the horizon. We've got those smart contract functionalities, new dApps being built for Cardano. dApps are moving and companies moving from Ethereum over to Cardano. Countries running on the ecosystem. Ethiopia is a good starting position, but there's going to be many more. We also have the prototype to enjoy for the scalability solution later in this year. That's going to be the testament to how we actually go ahead and actually run countries on the chain. So many things to look forward to during the second half of this year. Why wouldn't you want to be paying attention to Cardano? Guys, with this said, done, and out of the way, I hope you've had a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.